Welcome back. We've got another episode of Burn the Manual presented by DeNovo Digital. Across from me today, you will see not Nick Zamonis, but Danny Lauritsen, our SEO expert in-house. So we're going to talk a little bit
filling
about,
some big shoes.
yeah, definitely physically and metaphorically speaking. Going to talk a little bit about some SEO efforts, some things happening in the space. So Danny, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So
Big fan of the show. Long time listener.
yeah, hopefully. All right. So what we've got on the table today, Cloudflare introduces pay per crawl.
Yeah, I saw that. They've been rolling this out for about a year now, I guess. It was not super on my radar. I've been, I guess, always a little skeptical with things like this, but yeah, it seems very legit. It certainly helped their stock price.
Yeah.
You can look at that. But yeah, I mean, kudos to them for being on the game and coming out with really it could be a groundbreaking idea. I don't know. We'll see it. We'll see how it goes. But leveraging a 402 response code to charge crawlers. Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting concept, especially since the focus is on AI crawlers, right? We've seen so much in the space change for how people optimize their websites with the impact of AI now and any type of AI results. And now you have a company coming out and say you can control what AI sees about your website. What type of impact, if any, do you think that'll have on like search results moving forward?
Well, that's to use the old SEO cliche. It depends, right? But no, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to be resolved here. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be charging Google for crawling your site.
Right.
They're getting a free pass. Is it going to slow down their crawler? Are they? I don't think it will. But I think what we've seen is this is trying to put the leverage back into content creators' hands, because people who have monetized clicks or just traffic in general, they're losing out on a lot of that
Sure.
with AI. Okay, so Google's response is, well, you're getting more conversions. You're getting people who are going to be your customers, and we're just giving them people who are looking for answers the answers, right? And it's been kind of that way for a long time, and now it's that way on steroids.
Yeah.
So putting the power back in the hands of the content creator, right? That's like the value proposition of this Cloudflare initiative. But how is Google going to react to that? It's interesting. We've seen, like, for instance, how many of these crawlers, would just ignore like an LLMs.txt or something like that, and they find a way around it. Like, will they find a way around this? Like, I don't know. I know Backlinko had a study a few weeks ago where they did a little sting operation on ChatGPT, where they indexed a page about a random term that they made up and got it indexed only on Google, and you couldn't find it anywhere else. And they asked ChatGPT about it, and ChatGPT knew about it and must have found it on Google.
Yeah.
But Microsoft's like, well, we use Bing with ChatGPT. Yeah, maybe sometimes Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we know they're not always doing what they say they're doing.
Yeah.
But you're going to charge them. So now they can't even see the page unless they pay for it. So the initial response to AI, right, has been, we'll stop focusing on clicks that are not getting you anything. Stop focusing on vanity metrics like impressions, and start focusing on conversions, and then also brand mentions.
Yeah.
Get people out there talking about you, so people are more aware of your brand. So if you're charging AI crawlers, and some people start charging them, some people don't.
Right.
Well, does that mean that the ones who aren't charging them are going to be running the game with brand mentions?
Yeah.
Is this going to crush your digital PR?
Yeah. I mean, it's wild to think of now, because there's been a continual boom over the past 2 years of different variations of AI platforms, right? They do all types of different things. We talk about the big ones like ChatGPT, Claude, Jasper, handful of others you talk about all the time. Gemini, like there's a lot out there, but there are hundreds, if not thousands more that are developed that people use for very specific use cases. Are those platforms going to start to fade away? Even more so with like, hey, I'm not willing to pay X amount for all of these crawls to get information. There's been some backlash with, not backlash necessarily, but you hear people in the AI space like, no, we need our platforms to learn and understand, so we need all of this content. At what point do we want to give our creatives some control over what they're?
Yeah, and that speaks to the authors, the artists, everything else that whose work has been used to train these
Sure.
models, that they have not been compensated. So obviously, I'm sure that a lot of people on that side of things are happy to see something like this. Maybe too little, too late for many of them. But,
Yeah.
And we also, Cloudflare is also talking about iterations of this already, and that it could be, not too far in the future where you can set different prices for different platforms, for different chatbots that are crawling your site. You can, depending on what their reach is. So if they're reaching more of your customers, then you should charge them more, right? So that's maybe something that goes into that. But now we're talking about dynamic pricing models for different things. And I mean, is this a way that users are going to be priced in the future? Like that could be a one future iteration of this. I don't know. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about, how I think many of us have this deep hatred of paywalls every time they come up, though I understand
Yeah.
their place in the world, and I want publishers to be compensated, but like, man, I just want to read this one article.
Yeah.
Like, and if you want to watch one video, you can watch any video you want. They just show you an ad first. So
Yeah.
why can't I watch an ad for this article? And then I thought, well, okay, you want me to subscribe, you want subscriptions. Subscriptions aren't expensive, but you just want one article. So why not just charge me a nickel for this article? And I don't think publishers want maybe especially 10, 20 years ago, they didn't want millions of nickel transactions every day coming in and paying for the credit card fees behind that and all that. But we're in a different world now. We have Zelle, we have
microtransactions are huge.
Yeah, ACH transfer, like all sorts of ways to make that happen without the processing fee that's involved with it. So, I mean, could that be something that we see in the future, like a micro paywall?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you bring up an interesting concept with the micro paywalls, and I'm thinking of it from, now we have crawlers that are able to block out different bots, right? Like they're blocking out these spiders of viewing the content, posting it. Could that happen to search engines, right? Like I don't want to, like you said, nothing worse than searching for something like, oh, this article is the one I want. You click on it and you hit a paywall. It's like, well, if I would have just not been served that result, I wouldn't have this experience of reading the first line and then having to pay $1 for my subscription. Do we get to a point where, because the crawler has blocked it now it's not serving on Google, now it's not serving on Bing, and now we don't have to worry about these paywalls unless you're going directly to the publisher, at which point does the publisher, find some other way to monetize, like you said, like, hey, we're going to open up our content, but you have to charge, X amount per, read. And with people setting up Google Payments, Apple Pay, like it's so much faster to make that instant transaction by just logging in and being like, yeah, sure, here's 3 cents.
Right. And I mean, again, I just can't help but go back to, if you're charging Gemini to crawl your site and nobody else is, people are still Googling stuff.
Yeah.
And now, are you just not on the map anymore? So it's really fascinating. It could go one of two ways. But again, the stock market seems to think it's going to go a certain direction.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for it. I mean, I do think it's a great idea. It's a really fascinating concept.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about, from a business side of things, there's two major ways that people look at getting more money and generating revenue: releasing new products like the pay per crawl, or cutting some type of cost. So the stock market really appreciates this new business venture. I think if nothing else, because as we've seen over the past year, mentions, comments, people are very interested in this idea. Cloudflare has done a great job from a PR standpoint of like getting this out there, and that brand recognition alone has jumped substantially, even for a company that's already, one of the giants in the space.
Yeah, I mean, if you were making revenue off somebody just clicking into your site, this is a way to get that revenue back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Google has shown in the past, obviously, that they want to keep people on Google a little longer, right? Zero-click searches are through the roof, and they want to provide people the answers they want. And content creators are saying, well, you can't just scrape our content and tell people unless you want to pay for it. But yeah, again, a lot of power dynamics at play there. So, I think back to the fight with the song lyrics, as long ago as that was, when, that was a great sting operation. Speaking of which, where, man, I don't remember the exact, it was lyrics.com or something like that, where they put in their, in their song lyrics, there was an extra space or something. There was some Morse code in there that said like caught red-handed, and it spelled it out. When Google, just scraped their lyrics and published them as they were, they didn't notice the extra punctuation or the extra spaces in the words, and it was clearly that just made it very clear that they just got it from their site.
Yeah.
But as I recall, they didn't really get in any trouble for that.
As far as I know, there was no backlash. Just like, we caught you. It's like, yes, you did. From an SEO perspective, that's a good, some of these things where like it's caught red-handed, it's something from an SEO tactic, like a little tweak, like you said, extra spacing, adding a line in here or there to really identify like that is like, we made that change. This word didn't exist before we did something. We know that like you're scraping our content. Do you think that SEOs will have to do anything different, or will game plan different from either a content strategy when thinking about, hey, I might be charging for this content and not this content, right? Like you said, there's a future state in their pricing where you can decide which content you want to charge people for.
I think there's all sorts of queries where there's another, there's 50 other pages that have the same answer. Right?
Yeah.
There's a question that has an answer, and even if it's somewhat nuanced, it's you've gonna, as soon as one page is ranking for it, you're gonna have 50 copycats, and a lot of people just providing the same information. So yeah, again, Google's gonna say, well, what are you providing that's unique content for the user, that they need to come to your site for, that we can't just produce and publish them, like give them a reason that they need to click into your site. They need to interact with your brand on a level that's not just superficial, like that, and not informational, to use like the search intent, term that they would use, but on another level. So I think that's what they would say. But I think as far as SEO, what can an SEO do? We've already seen this bright idea of the LLMs.txt file kind of come and go in the space of like, I think I could have timed it on my watch. Like, I don't know. It's like the old meta keywords in the 90s. Like, oh, these are the keywords that I'm trying to hit with this page. And then it worked for a minute, and then it was like, no.
And it was like, just put as many keywords as you can in there.
I mean, yeah. So, you can tell the crawlers, hey, these are the pages we want you to crawl, and these are the ones we want you to stay away from. It's like, are they going to listen to you? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, your workaround is like, okay, well, you may not be listening to me anyway, but we're going to charge you a little bit to do that.
And, and links are an interesting part of all this, because Google has consistently said that, that links are less important. And I think in the last 7-8 years, they've said it repeatedly and more frequently that, we're only focused on the content on your page and who else links to you and how many backlinks you have. Like, that stuff is like something, but it's really not that important.
Yeah.
And they keep saying that, but we know you need a few backlinks, right? We know you need some people linking to you. Um, maybe you don't need constant backlink growth. Maybe they have kind of policed links spamming and purchasing of
Yeah.
links to some degree at least. So, but then again, the AI puts it right
Yeah.
back into brand mentions, and you want people out there talking about you, and
Yep.
that means you want people linking to you. And all of these LLMs, like all of these answer engines, they're picking up all those cues from other places on the web. Um, and that means stuff that you can control too, like directories, like your social media accounts, like other things like that. So just having a presence, having a multimodal approach, a multi-channel presence, I mean, that's so huge right now.
Mhm.
And it is hand in hand with trying to build links, right?
Right.
So even though the links themselves might not be like they're saying, the signal that everybody, had made them out to be in the past, because they do want the content to be the first priority. They're still very important, and having that digital PR reach is more important than ever, I think.
Yeah. A lot of this crawling content that I believe that they've been focusing on or that we've been talking about is typically specific to what's on page. Do you think this will ever expand to like video platforms? Obviously, Google shows a lot of video search results. 90, I don't have the stats on it, but I would say from a personal viewpoint, 90 to 95% of the videos I see are coming from YouTube. So it's just Google sharing
Right.
more of themselves. But as creators want to own more of their content, right? They're probably not going to go away from YouTube. It's a huge monetization platform as well as others. But if there's a way for them to say, like, to control the uses of it outside of its platform a little bit more.
Well, I think, other platforms have tried that, right?
Sure.
Like Nebula.
Yep.
And been very successful at it, really. They do have kind of this boutique audience
Mhm.
of people who want people to be compensated for
Yep.
the content they're creating, that want to be a subscriber, want to be a patron,
Yeah.
So there are places, but Google's never going to stop showing YouTube videos
Yeah.
for free. They're not paying any more than than is already established on YouTube monetization. They're not going to be, they're definitely not going to pay YouTube to
Sure.
crawl that content because they own YouTube. So like that's always going to be there. And I think there's always going to be an incentive for people to put stuff up for free on YouTube, because they want it to rank on search and they want it to rank on YouTube. And YouTube's a huge platform on its own, just
Yeah.
like aside from Google.
I mean,
But yeah, we do see it more and more in Google searches all the time. But yeah, like I couldn't imagine, like for instance, Reddit was saying, "Oh, we want Google to pay for putting Reddit posts on
right.
on Google." I don't think that's, but
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that almost defeats the purpose of what Reddit's about, right? Like
exactly.
they need that awareness. You need Google. So Google, Bing,
It's that
Yahoo,
open source channel,
those large ones.
and there are other. If you want to get paid, there's another place where you can go.
Yeah.
Other than this. Yeah. So I think that's the same viewpoint with YouTube.
Yeah, the subscription models, there's definitely a lot of platforms out there if you want like, to give the creators a little bit more love or you want, extended content. Patreon is one I go to fairly often where it's like, yeah, if I want like their real insight, but there is so much value to having some of it on YouTube. Like, right? It's the brand
Yeah, you get the
awareness
reach.
that you need
Yeah.
to really get that page to take off. Do you have anything that you've seen in the AI space that you think is going to trends in AI that you think will start to fizzle out sooner rather than later, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
I
always
think.
there's always going to be something new. And typically in our consumer driven environment, something new coming means something old is going to fade. So what are the, even though AI is relatively new in the consumer space?
AI is a very broad term
Sure.
now. And I think even a lot of us, when we hear it now, well, at least, working in SEO, working in digital market, we're thinking about ChatGPT GPT. We're thinking about LLMs. We're thinking about answer
Mhm.
engines and generative engines and what have you. Okay, so we're not thinking about like scientific research,
Sure.
all sorts of other
Applications for
massive applications that are happening, right? But yeah, in just the SEO space, I mean, I think that Google's going to play around a lot with
Mhm.
what search engine results pages look like, and they have AI mode now.
Mhm.
They're going to start, like they said, incorporating more and more features of AI mode into the normal search. Eventually, they're probably going to merge.
Yeah.
Just be one thing, I think. But we do see them kind of pumping in these AI answers to all sorts of snippets that they already have. Like people also ask snippets,
Mhm.
like FAQs and more info kind of boxes that they're almost shooting themselves in the foot with these things, like because it's not helping user experience. I don't think to just pump that in everywhere where people aren't used to seeing it.
Mhm.
Something like a people also ask box.
Yeah.
It's a question and that has an answer, and there's already a link to it if you want to search for that thing directly. So you don't need 30 sources in that, and I don't think that's helpful to users. So that's one thing that I when you see each question having this AI response with, here's 30 places I got it from, and basically 30 websites that all say the same thing.
Right.
And then you can click that blue link and do a search for that, and the same 30 websites are
Right.
listed.
It's like I
in
just
the red blue.
saw this.
So yeah, I think that they're gonna dial in better what users are responding to and what they're not. They've always been pretty good at that. They want people to stay on Google. They don't want to give people a bad user experience, but they're gonna play around, and there's gonna be some things that are swings and misses.
For sure. Okay. Yeah. Now the future, again, using AI, like you said, pretty loosely because it covers so much. Specifically related to generative AI, is there something that you're looking forward to playing around with more in the generative AI kind of world?
I wasn't expecting this question. No, but I should. I should just play around more, honestly. It's. I think a lot of people have run into similar issues, and with it keeps trying to tell me what I want to hear sometimes, or you catch one error and it turns you off sometimes. I mean, I read somebody, man, I wish I could remember. He's a popular guy with a long running marketing blog whose name I can't remember, but anyway, he said something along the lines of, if you had a calculator that worked 80% of the time, you'd never use that calculator. No one would ever touch it. So, if you ask it a question and it tells you something wrong that is wrong, that leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Mhm.
For a while, it's like taste aversion's a hard thing to overcome sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So, I think that there has to be a little bit of acceptance of that, and we have to be checking things that it says, and not everyone's going to do that. So, I think there's this fear about just everybody just blindly following, what the AI tells them and publishing all this content that's wrong, and then AI learning from the new content that's made up from the old things that it said, and it's a dangerous feedback loop. But yeah, I think I try to remind myself that I need to just play around a little more. And just, not take everything personally.
Yeah. I think the fact checking is a big piece because, like you said, the information is so fast now, and you can see, oh, well, it says these 8 sources or 20 sources or 30 sources are all saying the same thing. But we know that those 20 sources could have all basically just pirated it from each other.
Exactly.
So it's just
with or without AI. They were already doing that. Yeah.
So, you get like, just because it's been validated doesn't make it correct. Yeah. And I think that is going to be a continued fight, right? Like that, you'll always have to find out what information is accurate and how to keep getting the accurate information is, I think, one of the largest challenges that exist kind of everywhere, but specifically on the internet because the share of information is so fast. You have like, oh, here's this like latest topic, and it sounds true enough that it sparks interest. One person picks it up, they tell it to 3 people, those 3 people tell it to 5 people, and like now you have this massive thing that, 30 years ago may have just stayed within like a little town, let's say. Like now you have them spreading like wildfire in a matter of seconds, really.
Yeah. And, I think one thing that I'd like to see, I guess, to more specifically answer your question is just, it's really good at finding information and bringing it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But can it figure the information out on its own, right? And not even talking about problem solving necessarily, but like I'll give an example of something we work on. Wildfires in California. We have a website about this. There's new wildfires there popping up almost every day, right? And most of them all have news articles written about them. Now, if we ask it, I don't know if it's going to be able to tell us exactly how many or where they were or sorts of these meta statistics.
Yeah.
Unless somebody went out there and wrote an article that said all that stuff, and they could say, well, here's this article I found about it, right? And it'd be really good at that. But I don't know if it could like find every news article that it could find and give you an accurate number.
Right.
This is exactly how many fires have happened this year or this month or in this area. But I think it should be able to get there.
Yeah. It's tough because there's within those articles there could be conflicting information.
Yeah.
One person, like you said, in wildfire cases, we're asking, let's say, contamination percentage. One person could be like, oh, it's been 25% contained.
Sure.
But that article could have been written slightly delayed, and the next one says like 45, and one says like 17, and so now it's basically picking which is correct.
Even things that are right and wrong. Okay, let's say sports statistics or something like that. If you want to break something down, like a lot. Oh, I want to see what's this batter splits with left-handed and right-handed pitchers, like this inning or later, in this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it knows the outcome of every game. It knows every at-bat that happened in every game all season.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be able to kind of figure that out, right? But like, I don't think it would. I wouldn't trust it right now unless there was an article that said this is exactly, and it was just pulling from that article.
And not pulling from the data points themselves and then having to put it together and like, All right, Danny. Final thoughts on, let's get back to, I guess, the beginning. Final thought, if you had one sentence to say what you feel about Cloudflare's pay-per-crawl, either where you think it's going, what you're excited about it. Or...
my final thought is that I think I might have coined the term micro paywall here. I don't know. I think we should check that. But if I did, then I should get some compensation for that. So I want to put a 402 response code on anybody who mentions that and right into my bank account.
We're calling it now. Danny's taking credit for micro paywall. I hope that pops up somewhere, and we'll fact check that later. But for now, we're gonna say I haven't heard it or seen it anywhere else. So I'm giving you credit for it too.
I'll take it.
All right. Well, pleasure.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah.